Hello guys, I am back from another video and this deku was Typhon. So, I'm not gonna be telling you what happened last time because I tried recording it again, but it didn't work. So, yeah, I'm going to let all of you guys decide, to just watch what happened last time, like, the last video of, this series. And so you can, refresh your mind and also because, well, I tried recording it several times, but it didn't work. So, I want all of you guys to just watch what happened last video and just then you can watch this episode next. Because I'm not gonna just say what happened last time because I don't want it I'm already tired, so yeah. So, let's talk about what happens next. So, after seeing all of the villains surrounding both Izuku, Aizawa, and, well, 13, Izuku decides to summon out this head. As it comes out of his shoulders, specifically this one. The one with the normal-ish hand. So, Izuku tells this head to start growing several plants. These plants start growing as it looks like, well, just imagine several multicolored plants basically as it creates a wall or a dome. As several of the villains start breaking the plant wall, they can't break it because it's basically the same as breaking iron or what do you call it, titanium basically. So it's basically hard to break it, this plant. So as when Shigaraki sees it, Shigaraki says this. This is going to be hard. As Konigiri says this, I agree. So, if this boy has the ability to shapeshift and also create several powers, we could steal his quirk. And as Shigaraki says this, no, Master said that we should try and get him and make him a part of our group. Because, after all, he's a boy. And in this society, boys serve girls. As Izuku back in the dome, fighting for his life, basically keeping this dome in shape, Izuku tells both wait for a second. And tells both Aizawa and 13 to think of a plan because he's not able to hold it very much longer. So, Aizawa plans that they should try and capture the actual girls so they can help them in the battle. As Izuku just says this. What a great idea, but first, how are we going to get all of them here now? How? As one of them being native says this. Wait, you're able to use different types of powers, right? As Izuku just says this. Yeah, as she says this. Maybe try and make it a teleporting type power or something. As Izuku just says this. Maybe, but I'm currently busy right here. As Aizawa just says this. Don't worry, let me fight. As Izuku just says this. Aizawa, but you're... As she says this. Don't worry, my injuries are basically healed now. So, just open up that thing. As Izuku does, as all of the villains start charging in at Izuku, as Aizawa pushes them back instantly by using her quirk and cancelling out all of their quirks and basically beating them down. As she says this, alright, teleport native now. As Izuku creates a portal, as she starts getting all of the girls here right now to help them. So, when Shigaraki sees this, including, well, Konigiri says this. So, he's able to create other quirks as well. What a useful pawn. As she says this. Agreed. But we need to find a way to make him our minion. As one of them being a... Wait for a second. A random villain says this. Maybe try and seduce him or something? I don't really know. As Shigaraki says this. Seduce him? No. As Konigiri says this. Agreed. If he tries to like seduce him, it will be a bad idea. As Shigaraki says this. Agreed. So, back to Izuku, like, like, wait for a second again. Back to Izuku seeing, like, Aizawa beating down. They basically defeated all of the villains, basically. As Shigaraki says this. How in the... Duh, that's it. Konigiri, summon out the Nomu immediately. As she says this. Very well, Shigaraki. As a portal appears, as Izuku and Aizawa see the Nomu. But this Nomu is different from canon. This Nomu was on all fours. It had several heads. One was a bird, the other was a serpent-like creature, and the other looks like a fish. So it had like the limbs of like a spider, but also has the tail of a what do you call it? The tail of a scorpion. It also has the arms of like a regular old like human, but it also has like another set of arms that are from a gorilla. As she says this, try and beat the Nomu that we created. It has shock absorption, quirk nullification, and the ability to use super strength. As one of the heroes, being native, arrives bringing all of the girls here. As Bakugo said this, finally, now, let's beat this bitch down. As Izuku just says this. Alright, everybody get ready. As the Nomu starts charging in, beating Aizawa down instantly. Because of her, or at least that, well, Nomu's like quirk, or quirks. Because of the quirk nullification, it basically nullifies her quirk. So, basically, they're all doomed. So, as all of the heroes in training tried to beat the Nomu, they were instantly defeated by it. Except for Izuku. Izuku was standing off it. As Izuku gets ready to fight it. As Shigaraki says this. Oh, you're getting ready to fight it? Really? How would you ever beat it? It's stronger than you. I have a proposition for you. I want you to join us. If you join us, we will give you power unlike any other. We would become kings, or at least you're a king. We would be queens of this brand new world. Now, if you want to join us, we will gladly do so, but if you decide to betray us, we would kill you and everyone you love. Now, join us. As Izuku just says this. No. As Shigaraki says this. Excuse me? As Izuku just says this. No. I don't want to become a villain. I don't want to become a monster. I want to protect everybody that I loved from you. From you villains. I don't want everybody to call me a monster. Just like back in the day. Izuku remembers those days when he terrorized cities and terrorized Greece. Wait for a second again. Sorry about that. So, Izuku remembers those days when he terrorized Greece and terrified every single local of that city. Izuku remembered that he was just a mindless monster, only wanting destruction more than anything else. But after that, Izuku fell in love, or Typhon fell in love with his wife, Echidna. Izuku felt happy. Izuku felt like a god. Izuku, back then, felt happy. And Izuku doesn't want anybody to feel that way anymore. After becoming a human, or somewhat of a human, he felt emotion, felt happiness, and he doesn't want anybody to feel sadness anymore. He wants to protect humanity. unlike the gods, which only wanted to control it, used their power for nothing else but control, like Zeus, Hera, and the other gods. And now, Izuku will protect him no matter what. As Izuku just says this, wait for a second. I meant, people like you piss me off. As Izuku starts transforming into a large dragon. This dragon-like form makes him look like a Tarask. Not that Tarask from what do you call it? Dungeons and Dragons. No, the actual Tarask in actual legend, which it actually doesn't look like a dragon all that much. It looks like a French chimera, basically. It has a turtle shell, like the body of a turtle, several, specifically 6 legs of a bear, the head of a lion, and also has horns and a scorpion tail. For some reason, it sounds like a monster from or at least like a creature from Mutant Fighting Cup. And if you don't know what is that game, well, it was basically my childhood. So, Izuku transforming into the Tarask, Izuku started breathing out fire as his scorpion tail started slashing at the Nomu. The Nomu was basically smaller compared to Izuku right now. As everybody's seeing Izuku's transformed form, Izuku starts crushing the Nomu, crushing it beneath his feet. Because Izuku is technically a monster, or somewhat of a god, because Izuku was born by Gaia, basically a titan, being the god of gods. Izuku is basically overpowering the Nomu. Izuku crushes it beneath his gigantic claws. As after he does that, Shigaraki was pissed. As Shigaraki says this, "You cheater, you cheater, you cheater! That was supposed to kill you! That was supposed to capture you! How was that?" As Izuku looks at her, as Izuku just says one thing, "Run." As Izuku starts creating a blast of pure darkness from one of his mouths. As Shigaraki Konagiri, specifically Konagiri, says this, "We should run now." As Shigaraki says this, "No, I'm going to fight him. I'm going to make him." As she says this. Anyway, so she teleports both her and herself back to the League of Villains base, as Izuku stops the blast by shooting it up into the sky, causing it to explode and become basically like a firework. So, when everybody saw Izuku's transformed form, he thought of this. What happened to you, Izuku? As one of this, wait for a sec. One of these people was Bakugo. As Bakugo said this, how was this? As Izuku transforms back into his more human form. As Izuku just says this, god dang it. I knew I should have stopped doing that before I transform into that thing. As one of the people being, wait for a second, Aizawa just says this. "What did you do, Izuku? What happened to you?" As Izuku just says this, "Don't worry, I just used so much of my power to the point that I transformed into a monster. I'm just..." No. As Izuku just vomits all over the floor, as Izuku just says this, "I'm fine, I just used too much of my power." As Izuku just falls down into the ground, basically tired from using all of his power. Sorry about that. As everybody started, going towards Izuku and start bringing him back to the classroom. Not really classroom, more like to the nurse's office. So, after that day, basically everybody was impressed of Izuku's power. So, Izuku was basically at the nurse's office, basically tired from using too much of his, quirk, quote unquote. So, Izuku is basically on the nurse's office bed because Izuku was basically tired at that time. As one of the heroes, being All Might, said this to Aizawa. So, mind explaining what happened to Izuku? As Aizawa just says this. Okay, basically, Izuku transformed into a monster. As both her and Principal Nezu say this. Excuse me, what? As they're basically in a meeting with the rest of, well, the UA staff. As one of the heroes, being Vlad King, says this. Really? He transformed into a monster? Interesting. As she says this. Yeah, he basically looks like this. As he brings in a sketch of it. As one of them being wait for a second. Midnight said this. That thing looks like a monster from like a kid's imagination. Like seriously. It has a turtle shell. And a lion's head and several wait, 6 legs? What type of legs are those? As she says this. It looks like the legs of a bear? Are you sure did you see Zuko transform into a monster or are you on like something? As she says this. I saw that with my own eyes. Like seriously. What do you think, Principal Nezu? As Principal Nezu says this. I agree with Aizawa. This power seems to be powerful. No pun intended. But this power was completely, well, you get the picture. As All Might says this, if he's that powerful, then what is he? As Aizawa just says this, well, he said that he was from Greece, and apparently he was, or at least his parents, were enslaved, including him, as he basically escaped thanks to his parents, but we don't know anything else but that. As Vlad King says this, really, then is there anything else that you want to say to us? Like anything about Izuku? As she says this, oh yeah, when I first met him, he seemed to be all alone. The only person that was with him was Ochako. Wait for a second. As one of them being, wait for a second again. As All Might says this. So, what is their relationship anyway? As Aizawa just says this. A brother and sister type relationship. As another person comes in. Being the same hero that basically defeated Izuku that one time when he was captured. This girl was the girl with the red wings. As she says this. So, this kid has the ability to transform into a monster. Interesting. As she says this. So, it's been a long time. Hawks. As she says this. Hey, so, this kid, Izuku, what is his powers exactly? As Principal Nezu explains. As she says this. Yeah, I know that already. Like, I already saw him when I first captured him, but what is his actual quirk's name? As these, like, all of them don't know, except for Aizawa. As Aizawa just said this. He doesn't know what is his quirk's name, so he just prefers to call it shapeshifting. As Hawk says this. Shapeshifting. That's an interesting name. Even though he doesn't all that like fully shapeshift into like I don't know, like several people or something. He mostly transforms his body most of the time. Actually, I don't really think it's actually just a normal shapeshifting quirk. I think it might be something else. Because when you used your quirk last time, it didn't work, remember? As she just remembers, back during the whole wait for a second. Firstly at UA when Izuku was about to fight Bakugo, her quirk didn't work last time on Izuku. as she thought it was just an anomaly or just forgotten to use it. But when she realized it, she did use their quirk, as she says this. You're right. Why didn't it work? As Aizawa just thinks a little bit more. As wait for a second again. As All Might says this. I think we need to investigate more about his quote unquote quirk. As one of them being wait for a second. Vlad King says this. Wait, what did you say quote unquote quirk? As he says this. I meant she. His quirk seems to be not or at least I think it's not a quirk. As one of the heroes being wait for a second again. President Mike says this. Whoa, you really think it isn't a quirk? So what is it then? As All Might says this. I don't know. But we need to get to the bottom of this. If we don't know what it is, then what should we do when he actually becomes a villain? As one of the heroes being wait for a second. Being Vlad King says this. I guess you're right. We should try and investigate what his actual quirk is. And if we don't, the villains might arrive and capture Izuku. So, they agree on that as they basically leave. Back to Izuku. Izuku was basically all tired, all puckered out. Nobody was there, and I mean nobody, like nobody's in the nurse's office. So, somebody goes into the nurse's office. This girl had. So, this girl has blonde hair and red eyes, and you probably know her. So, she goes into Izuku's bed, as she says this. Thank you, whatever nerd. Because you're asleep, I couldn't say it in front of you, but thank you, I guess. So, this girl kisses Izuku, as it's Bako Katsuki, as she says this. After 13 told me that you're the one who basically teleported her. Don't know what to call it or whatever. Might be love or whatever. Whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean I like you or anything. It was just an award, like an award or something. Whatever. I'm leaving. So, after she leaves, she looks out of the door and sees Ochako. As Ochako says this. So, what are you doing in the nurse's... Oh, I see. As she says this. It's nothing, I swear, as she says this. Oh, you're in love with my brother, eh? As she says this. No, I'm not in love with that stupid boy. I'm leaving. So, wait for a second. So, Bakugo leaves, as Ochako sees Izuku. Izuku was sleeping peacefully, as she says this. Night, Izuku. Hope to see you again. So, she leaves as well, going back to her dorm room. So, yeah. Now, Izuku is still completely asleep, but Izuku gets another visitor. This girl seems to have white and half red hair. She goes onto Izuku's bed. She hugs Izuku, but carefully, not to wake up Izuku. This girl was... And this will be the end of the episode, eh? Sorry. But unfortunately, I will be leaving this episode in a cliffhanger, so yeah. So, you have to guess in the comments who was that girl. I'll give you a hint. Daddy issues. So yeah, this will be the end of the episode, and I hope you liked the video. comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye bye.